Welcome back, everyone. Our teams are prepping for the next match where Chaos Latin Gamers challenge Gambit Esports in a bid to try and make themselves a contender here in the group.
Yes, KLG currently sitting at 0-2 in the playing group stages. If they want to stand a chance of securing that second seed, a win here is a must. But it is possible. Gambit did end up losing to GRX earlier on. First seed is now out of reach for both teams. But if KLG can find a win here, then there is the potential for a tiebreaker game to secure that second spot. So definitely an important game. And KLG, they need to shape up a little bit, because we talked a lot about Tierwulf, and we talked a lot about how expectations were that he would be this hyper-aggressive jungler that would come in and kind of dominate the early game. And on day one, we didn't really see that. But I feel like after a bit of rest, after a bit of recuperation and getting used to the stage, we could see more of the Tierwulf that we kind of expected. The dude that it can be so aggressive in the early game, the guy that can really facilitate a lot of the early game leads for his team.
And I think if there's a guy to really bring it to, it probably is someone like Diamond, who's had a little bit of a lukewarm tournament so far. His Tilia looks pretty good when he's able to be aggressive, which is something he was known for. But again, when he doesn't do that, I think Tierwulf can very really just pick an aggressive jungle matchup and just start hard invading and trying to, put Diamondprox a little off kilter. Because for Gambit, yes, they are a strong mid-game team. They love to take the Baron. They love to kind of build up slowly and win from there in a relatively controlled style. But I feel like Diamondprox is so much of their early game. So if he is put kind of off edge at all of a sudden, KLG have a very easy way into the game.
And I'm curious as to what Gambit will do in terms of their draft, because early on in the day, we had more question marks, right? Yesterday, we wondered what they were trying to do against GRX, and then they kind of shaped things up against KLG. But then today again, we were like, we're not entirely sure why they're going for the Zoe pick. What's the goal of their competition? What kind of win conditions are they playing for? And will they shape up against KLG in the second game once again? Because I'm expecting a revamped KLG. Yes, Gambit have kind of had a warm-up game. They've already played on stage, and KLG are yet to do so. But my expectations are that we will see a stronger KLG today. And I do feel like that they will be able to put on a better performance than they were initially able to on day one. And they want to do their region proud, right? Latin America South, it will be merging with Latin America North in the future. And I think that being able to represent your region still on the world stage, finish off the playing stage with a good performance, I think is ultimately their goal.
And let's be clear, KLG have dominated in their domestic league, so they'll have to see if they can continue that dominance once the leagues do merge. But we are into Champ Select here for this game. Remember, you said KLG have 2 games to play today, and they basically must win both to stay contentious in the group. Gambit already played their game today and lost against GRX, so if they can win here, they'll move themselves into that spot and give them a chance in the best of 5. So we'll see what happens here in the draft. Galio Alistar banned by Chaos Latin Gamers, Gambit Esports going with the Skana and the Varus, and there's Aatrox also banned.
So we are seeing very similar bans to the last time they met. If Gambit want to continue, they would take off the Camille, take it away from Tierwulf, something that he did have a lot of comfort on. Rakan, Poppy, and Aatrox were the last bans, so Poppy has been left available by KLG, and they've replaced it with the Galio, which I think is good, because we saw how good Kira was the last time that these two teams met up.
See also Urgot kind of getting that respect now from Gambit, and once again Plugo goes for the Akali, first pick here on blue side.
Now, I seem to recall him bringing that out in the final, and he did have a pretty solid performance on the champion. I think it is something that he's comfortable with, and he does like to make plays when he can, but we've also seen teams shut that down. Supermassive, they had a very solid showing yesterday with things like the Tom Kench, Skana, Zillion, all really good picks at just isolating the Akali and preventing her from getting all those assassinations off. So I would love to see Gambit kind of imitate that style, given that Tom Kench is currently available right now.
I think the other thing for me is that for KLG, when you pick something like Akali, you shift a lot of responsibility into Plugo's hands. And for a jungler-centric team, Tierwulf may have to give up some power individually. And we'll see if KLG can kind of make that shift and give Plugo the opportunity to really take over again, which Akali still can do despite some of the nerfs. However, the picks for Gambit are here, Xayah and Gragas actually. So Diamondprox putting a very firm grip on that champion as one he wants to be playing. Rakan is still available if everyone wants to take it after this. So we'll see if KLG fancy a steal.
I wonder if they go for something like the Camille, or if they just lock in their support right now, because you talked a lot about jungle-centric Tierwulf. Even with an assassin in the mid lane, you just pair it up with another high damage dealing lockdown carry, and you then have this suddenly terrifying backline threat that even against the Xayah would have a lot of lockdown potential. But right now they're going a bit against the meta. We've seen this pick a couple times, kind of all over the world, not really be highly contested, but has kind of shown itself from time to time.
Yeah, there is the Jarvan, and the expected Rakan is almost insta-locked there by Gambit Esports. I agree, though. I think Camille is something that he has played a lot of, would certainly fit the bill of a hyper-aggressive champion that he can really get things going with, but either for comfort or for some other reasons we may discover later, it is Jarvan the pick instead.
So Gambit, they have hard engage on the bot side of the map, and they're guaranteed a strong 2v2. They can now ban away some of the strong answers. Things like Braum, Tahm Kench can just be taken off the board, force KLG into what you expect to be something like a Leona. We have seen it as an answer to the Rakan. Maybe Gambit look to ban that one themselves, and now KLG, they just want to ban away counters to the Akali. Zilean, Lissandra are two of the big ones, and Galio was already taken off the board, so I think this is absolutely fine for KLG.
Yep, it's just a no-fun zone.
No fun
When
zone.
Akali, she'll still be okay, but not being able to assassinate people as an assassin
of course.
feels pretty bad.
I forget to mention it. The Akali was what Plugo played the last time they met.
Yes.
And the Galio, of course, was the answer to it. So now we get to see Plugo against hopefully a mid lane champion where he can actually play the game. And he's not just kind of limited to his 1 to 6 window. But okay, so the Zilean has been left open. I wouldn't be surprised if Gambit locked it in, but we shall see.
Feels pretty good with what they're going on. Again, expect dive, expect assassin. Zilean pretty good against those
Malzahar
things.
is another one they could consider, just if they want the isolated lockdown. It would synergize quite nicely with their pick potential comp that they've already got. But they're going to save the mid lane pick for last. And it looks like that they're going to go for a bit of a carry top lane.
Alrighty. Xayah, again, we've seen a lot of his Sion, seen a lot of his tanks, but he is pretty well known for his GP as well. I feel like every tank top laner has got one carry, and for Xayah, that is Gangplank. Oh yes! Draven Leona, insta-lock there for KLG.
So we talked about the Leona, wasn't expecting the Draven. As a European, I get to see it a lot with both Attila and Hansama in my league, but haven't really seen it much internationally, outside of perhaps the LPL, of course, where everything is played. But this is a very aggressive 2 versus 2 in the bot lane, and so it's great in the sense that it should be fine in the 2 versus 2, but it also requires you to invest time towards the bot side of the map. And when you draft the Akali, you said it earlier, you kind of want to play around that lane. You want to get your assassin ahead. So Tierwulf, he may divide his resources. They may just hard commit to one lane. They may try and take Plugo out of mid and just keep roaming bot. Either way, it's very much about the early game. This is what we wanted to see from KLG. They've shaped up their draft. They've kind of got way more winning lanes. Tierwulf has way more options where he can play around. And the fact that Kira's answering with an assassin of his own means that we're going to have a bit of a spicy matchup in mid.
Very interesting here for me for Kira to throw it down a bit. You know what? No more control mages right now. Give me the LeBlanc and let me play the skill matchup. Pretty good, of course, into the Akali. We've seen this matchup a decent number of times, but I just love that KLG backs against the wall. They know they got to bring the heat. They've got 2 ignites. They're going to be going all in a lot in this game.
I'm really looking forward to this bot lane. I personally love Leona. She's a very linear champion, and when she goes in, she stays in, but she has so much setup in the bot 2v2, and if you can just find that first kill, you can snowball that lane so hard. The fact that Draven has the extra gold income on his passive, the fact that there is so much damage in that duo, head up with a Jarvan as well, that is a terrifying bot lane if they get ahead. So I would not be surprised to see Tierwulf go towards the bot side of the map, maybe even a level 2 gank. I'm going to throw it out there. It could happen. He is that kind of jungler, and as we said, we didn't see it day 1. Eyes are on Tierwulf. Can he do it today? Can he bring KLG the win over Gambit and increase their chances of getting that tiebreaker match and perhaps securing a second seed?
Kind of on a level 1 invade now. I was like, what can one up a level 2 gank from Draven? We'll see what KLG do want to go for, but certainly expecting some fire in this one. Gambit, of course, tournament hopes hang very much in the balance here for both these teams. See if they can ice out a win here against KLG.
And it's important to remember too, for Gambit, many fans, including myself, expected Gambit to finish top of that group. We kind of looked at it. Many eyes were on G-Rex, who finished 5th during the regular season. Yeah, they looked good in their gauntlet, but then many people wondered, well, how strong is LMS as a region, And then they came in, they had a great performance, and Gambit now in this situation where they're 1 and 2, lost both their games to G-Rex. They had a pretty convincing win over KLG on day 1. But you kind of look across the draft, and it feels like KLG have come in very well prepared. Even though the Gangplank is considered a solid matchup into the Sion, you should still lose the push at early levels, and you will still struggle until you get things like the Trinity Force before you can start having an impact on the game. And same for the mid lane matchup. The Akali will suffer against the Leblanc in terms of the early game, but if Plugo even gets a single kill off in the side lane, that Akali is going to be terrifying to deal with, and there aren't going to be that many answers. So I really like the KLG draft. I think it gives them a lot more options, but it is very reliant on getting an early lead. So if they can't pull it off, Gambit still have the mid to late game answer. Yeah,
pretty firmly locked down. I think for Gambit's draft, it is interesting how many different looks they're kind of showing us here. They've shown some fumbles in chance, like, certainly, but another difference here is Kira is on a much more aggressive pick.
They've also got a bit of a 1-3-1 going too, you know, with the Gangplank and the Leblanc. They can play much more of the map, much more of the side lanes with this kind of setup. So I think you're right in the sense that we are just seeing the many faces of Gambit throughout this playing stage.
Always a team that's kind of played, you know, what they feel like playing. Early in Worlds, it has maybe been a bit of a detriment for them, but we'll see if that can change up. Buff to buff though for Tierwulf, and Diamondprox straight to that Scuttle Crab. So covering for probably an expected level 3 gank. But Tierwulf not going to make it in time, at least through the river, as Diamondprox will secure that early vision. Meanwhile, mid lane's going to be fun.
And I love that ward just behind the Dragon Pit, just because it's a really good eye to see if Jarvan goes to that level 2 play. It was what we were talking about. Gambit respected the potential, and so having that early bit of vision towards the bot side of the river means that, okay, we're not going to fall prey to this early kind of ganking setup, and we'll be able to avoid it for the time being.
There's multiple wards there as well, so Tierwulf fully covered by Gambit there with some clever vision placement. Still though, the bot lane 2v2, kind of as expected, very aggressive here between Draven and Leona. Fix getting in there, get some damage down onto Edward, and they are pushing this lane and playing up. This is exactly what we expect in this sort of matchup.
Yep, exactly that. And it's not really about the fact that Draven has loads of wave clear, it's the kill threat that this duo has, even at level 2. The chain CC with the combined damage, even without items, because of the empowered auto attack that Draven gets from his Q, that's what makes him so lethal. And that's then further empowered by the passive of Leona. So definitely a very scary duo, especially once they hit that level 6 mark. So we'll be keeping our eyes out for that, as we see both junglers just kind of toying with each other.
Yeah, that was a smiteless contest there on the Big Raptor. Diamond does come out ahead. Plugo also pushing up his lane again. KLG applying a lot more pressure.
And I just want to quickly remind people of what happened the last time that these two teams met, because Gambit, they went for a pretty aggressive bot lane and they were able to find pretty solid early game leads. They're different. Their game versus KLG on day 1 was significantly different to that versus GRX, where you can see they had a 2.2k gold lead at 15 minutes. They had really high kill to death ratio, and the game time was just under 30 minutes. So the moment they got that Baron, they immediately ended the game. And that's the kind of potential that Gambit has. But it was also a matter of KLG kind of drafting a little all over the shop, not having a clear direction of where they wanted to go. And this time around, I feel like they're much more aligned, and already they're off to a pretty aggressive.
Yeah, this is a very cohesive draft here for KLG, as Invade from Tierwulf is going to move Diamond off his Krugs. We know how junglers do love that camp, although it seems like the battle is extending quite a long way. Tierwulf trying to skirt around some of the vision here. He's going to be spotted once more, so Diamond cancels that recall.
And I love the fact that Tierwulf is hanging around the top side of the map, because, you know, we talked a lot about how he kind of wants to play around the Akali, but also wants to play around the Draven Leona. Gangplank is a champion that's really good to dive. When the stopwatch meta was really prevalent, he became flavor of the month because it was impossible to dive him. You couldn't do it because the stopwatch bought you so much time and got you through what's supposed to be a rough laning phase. But Tierwulf is like, okay, my Sion is really strong, he's tanky enough, we have the damage combined, we can get a kill up here, and that kind of sets us up nicely for the rest of the map. And if we kind of get this Gangplank before he can get to his Trinity Force, then the bot lane that's already winning and the mid lane that's going even will work out really, really nicely for us. But good awareness from Diamondprox to just kind of hang around that lane and scare off the dive from Tierwulf, so that Stejos will be fine on the Gangplank for now.
As you see though, Fix and Slow still looking good here in the 2v2, so covering for Diamond and seeing if he does want to look bottom is important. Plugo also just fine in his matchup, staying even keel right now. Like, it really just is a question of, you know, we know KLG have to do something in the first 15 minutes of this game. It's what kind of impact they can have from a good start here in the early stages of this laning phase that will really kind of tell us the story of the rest of this game.
And so Gambit are basically saying, okay, don't let them kill us.
That's a good strategy in League of
Yep.
Legends.
And it's one of those things where... Ooh, good use of the W.
Really nice chain. Kira 6 as well, but 6 there for Plugo. Dings over, and in the Shroud is relatively safe.
So I read a great comment from LS last night, which was, if your win conditions are specific, or if the enemy team has win conditions that are specific, then your win conditions no longer matter, because your whole goal is to eliminate their win conditions. And Gambit recognized the power of this bot lane, and are now sending 4 members bot to try and limit the early snowballing. And I think that's the big difference as they go in.
Here we go. Kira is going to be the first target. Lockdown does not have flash, excuse me. And that damage from Draven, very significant. They're all stacking, so we can't grab the last auto. And Kira does distort away to safety, but still KLG starting to come alive.
Kira actually had no flash in that exchange. Not entirely sure when he used it.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, he's going to flash, but
yeah, I was like,
flash.
Oh, he doesn't have it. So KLG were much closer to getting a kill than perhaps they realized. Regardless, they forced the mid laner back. They're now grouping up 4-man units as a bot. And that roam from Gambit didn't quite go the way they wanted it. They wanted to shut down this snowballing bot lane of KLG, and unfortunately, they almost started the snowball for them.
And I love, again, slow going instantly in with the Leona, picking a target, using that ignite. Spix continues to play up and just chip away at the health. That CS lead is getting pretty significant. Lodik will clear these. It should be about 10, assuming he can get most or all of these. But the first base finally going to come from the KLG bot lane. And unfortunately, it doesn't get easier.
It unfortunately does not. They will get a point where Xayah, just in terms of damage output, because she'll have core items completed, will be able to match much better against the Draven, especially if he doesn't have a significant item advantage. And also in the late game, Xayah is much easier to play because she can self-peel, she has feathers and all that jazz, which is why Draven's considered such an early game champion, but his late game damage is no slouch either. His only issue he'll have is dealing with tanks because they're really obnoxious and there's not much he can do to really get away from them or get around them either. So that's why we kind of look at this late game and go, okay, Gambit's in a pretty good position. They have the ability to play 1-3-1. But even then, if you want to go 1-3-1, you want your Leblanc head as well. So the fact that Kira is actually behind in farm in the mid lane after that failed roam is not really a great situation for Gambit to be in, but then you still look at Lodik and you kind of see him to be that late game insurance along with the Gangplank in the other side lane.
Yeah, something that's kind of interesting about Kira as a player, he's very roam heavy. We often describe, likes to play these more supportive and utility mages, a Galio, of course, maybe being the best recent example of that. But even on something like LeBlanc, this assassin, which you do want to roam on, Kira is very much about helping his teammates, kind of regardless of the champion. He's not like a hard solo carry player in the same sense that some other mid laners are. And again, if they can help the lanes that are falling behind and kind of keep at this point, despite some CS discrepancies, it is looking good. But as ultimates are starting to come online videos, I just feel the KLG first blood. It's kind of hanging in the air for them to take.
Well, they have to make something happen. We talked about how reliant their early game is with the Draven pick. They want the Akali to be ahead so that she can be valuable in team fights and threaten the side lane. She doesn't have the same difficulties that Perks did yesterday. The amount of single target lockdown is definitely way less compared to a Tahm Kench, Skana, and Zillion, which means that this Akali can really snowball if you just get that slight lead. But so far, Tierwulf, he's shown his face a couple times, hasn't really made any significant happenings just yet. Still plenty of time for him to do so, though.
Yep, Diamond continuing to cover, so KLG actually playing very far back towards their turret there in the bot lane. As again, Lodik and Edward continue to gain power. Plugo also going Merc first, so wanting to make sure to get through the tough part of the lane, and as you mentioned, is doing well on CS.
All right, look at the minimap. Look at the minimap in the bot side. You can see the Jarvan sneaking in through the lane. They will push this up. There's the control ward, and this is the play we've been waiting for. The level 6, the Jarvan has it as well. KLG, they want this kill.
Edward, he's on a control ward, but he's going to pop himself out now. Ultimates are ready to go, but there's Plugo in the mid lane. Maybe going to look for the solo. Does ignite Kira and get him pretty low, but no finish there. Oh, the A miss. That's a tragedy.
So close. Doesn't choose to lead with the ulti. He wasn't entirely sure where Edward was, so they're not able to find that. Gambit for now. able to avoid death in both the mid and bot lane.
We'll see if they can get something else, though. Plugo kind of forced Kira away. He's out of potion charges right now, so Plugo can rotate down and try and make something happen here. Whether it's the Drake or maybe a dive. I feel like they'll take the latter, because boys of this team love getting kills.
Diamondprox is around, though. Plugo has joined the fray as well. Here we go.
Oh, they actually are going to go in for it, but it's actually a 3v4. Now it's Edward zipping away with the ulti. Still no casualties. GP ult committed though by Stejos.
So Fix used both of his summoner spells there to get out of that situation. And because the AD carry was too low, KLG didn't feel confident enough to commit to the fight. Even though they had a numbers advantage, the Gangplank ultimate combined with the damage.
Oh, Edward, he actually just face checked, gets dunked, and that's the kill. Fix finds the cash in on Draven.
Such a big mistake there from Edward as he gives the kill over to Fix. Look at the gold difference now, 1,300 in favor of Fix. He has 2,300 waiting in the bank. KLG, there was the first blood they were waiting for, and they found it.
This is one of those things, it's like, surely they're not still in there, but KLG were committed to the play that the draft had set out, and they do collect a very important kill. That's the one person that wanted it most.
That feels bad, man. All right, here we go. Plugo now in a 2v1.
Chained up, Diamondprox, ulti, good flash. Plugo gets out.
I believe he didn't have his Shroud up and available, so was forced to use that. But even then, the Gragas ultimate may have knocked you out of it, so I think he had to show that respect with the flash. Tierwulf now hanging around mid as well, waiting for Kira to dive in. You can see Kira wants it. So Plugo gonna bait it out. Does he have his ulti off cooldown?
It's very close.
Just about to. All right, here we go. Go for it, Kira.
Scribe's been burnt. They probably know Diamond is back in the area, so maybe don't make
going for it.
2v2. Oh, here comes Nate. That's Diamond they want all along. The knockup is there. They're gonna fly into it, and Tierwulf gets himself a kill.
Plugo doesn't pick it up, which is who you ideally wanted on, but still a kill in favor of KLG. And we were talking about it just before the game, pastry time. The early game is what we wanted to see from KLG. They drafted towards the early game, and now they're finding these picks. They're finding these kills.
I would say Plugo is the kind of correct choice, but Tierwulf is a momentum-based player, so I think he'll be happy to have it as a watch this one again.
So, now, Edward. Yeah. That feels bad, man.
I feel like he's been playing long enough to know not to do that.
And then Diamond, he's just trying to clear out the vision. He doesn't realize that top lane has gone missing. Plugo's ulti's back up, and Tierwulf was hanging around as well. I believe Tierwulf used his flash there as well. Perhaps a little unnecessary, but regardless, it does secure himself the kill. KLG now.
I'll call it worth.
Here we go, Edward going in again.
The combo. Ties up two, good ulti, but dodged out by Lodik. Diamondprox down here to try and make it happen, and Fix just gets obliterated. TP in from KLG, it's Diamond going to try and pick off once again. Angle not great, and Diamond held onto his flash there. I think Nate was trying to predict it.
And I think the gank was great from Gambit, knowing that there were no summoner spells available on Fix. He used both the flash and heal in the earlier exchange that happened between KLG and Gambit, but KLG is still hanging around. Ooh, they have no idea that Gambit's just sitting in there. And now Gambit can make their way towards the Drake.
Yeah, I think with a little more info, KLG were going all in an instant. I was actually pretty surprised to not see them go for it, but information has been denied. Plugo also perhaps not able to get out and join a potential fight as Kira is currently pushing his wave in.
But all right, Gambit, they get themselves on the board in terms of kills. The Trinity Force has been completed for the Gangplank as well, so that's pretty good for them. First item not quite done yet for Kira, but he's making his way there. Interesting that he's actually picked up the orb that builds into the Morellonomicon, the one that I always forget the name of.
Oblivion Orb.
The Oblivion Orb, there we go. Gives you a lot of early magic penetration, but definitely doesn't give you the same wave clear that something like a Ludens does. As once again, we see a bit of trading.
Plugo though does have the revolver, so able to trade nicely as he gets the auto. Kira though trades nicely back, distorts back in and chunks out Plugo's health bar. He's just going to go back, drink those potion charges, and probably be A-OK as Plugo will get himself a blue buff. Over the wall he goes. And now level 11. Ulti back up and ready. Maybe he looks top here.
Just have his eyes set on it. But no, just going to disengage for now. Now you can see how much more reserved the bot lane is. Still no flash available on Fix. And the fact that the Storm Razors has been finished for Lodik, along with actually having a level advantage, means that they don't feel as confident as they did during the early laning phase. Would love to see Tierwulf make a return down towards the bot side of the map. Edward's still no flash. Plugo, though, gonna face check.
Trying to make the play. Face checks, though. Ooh, P1 goes into Diamondprox. There's the ult back. Once again, it's Nate. Kira may be able to get out, but Diamond maybe not so lucky. Does flash out of the Cataclysm. And still getting chased. There's, oh my goodness, that ult picks up the clone. Doesn't quite grab Kira, but Nate, he wants it. He righteous score is in. He's flashed on top. He'll grab the knock, and Tierwulf sees blood. Nate collects it, and KLG continue to rack up kills.
And I love these roams from Nate. This is the second one now that he's made towards the mid lane and has resulted in a kill. Not onto Kira, though, onto Diamondprox. The jungler for Gambit continues to fall behind as KLG continue to pick up more kills.
Plugo, again, also starting to get a bit more active on this Akali. Tierwulf, he's going to fall back and pick up the Ocean Drake. Looks like his bot lane is pushed back around. I think Fix having 2 summoners back up makes him feel a lot better about the situation. And that'll be Drake 1, also over to KLG. Slowly stacking advantages, only a little over 1,000 gold ahead, but this is the direction we need to see the team going here.
So he knows that Kira doesn't have the mana or the health to challenge, so he feels pretty safe going for this face check, and then he goes onto Diamond, but rather than finishing off Diamond, he uses his second part of the ulti to find a kill onto Kira. It does get the flash out of the Leblanc, so overall I think this is worth, but it does mean that Diamondprox almost gets away with his life, but fortunately for Nate, he has the flash up. There you also see the Glacial Rune, and they're able to get that locked down, and Nate picks himself up a kill. So he's pretty happy. He's getting himself a red buff as well. And KLG find more kills.
It's actually something I didn't think about, because of course Glacial Ultimate will apply on active items. We've seen actually quite a number of mid laners lately take things like GLP and Twin Shadows. But Righteous Glory popping that extra slow, I mean, you saw it, there's no way for Diamond to get away.
I'm so slow.
And you're so fast. This is unfair.
Speedy Sion. You guys made a game mode after that, right?
Yeah, it's excellent. I don't know if we can let you play it, unfortunately. I think it may be currently retired. Tierwulf gets bopped by Diamondprox.
I will say, while I love seeing Leona, Slow has missed a lot of ease. I have been keeping track, and he needs to be a little more accurate on those skill shots moving into the game, or rest of the game rather, because the
Ignite down Kira. You can see it, but he's got no ulti and no
Gangplank
flash.
ulti. Akali, are you still alive?
Look up. He's
Oh,
fine.
he's fine. All right.
He was fine the whole time. Had to use ulti though, I believe. So that was the gap close that got it out from under that.
Damn though, some nice damage from Kira. Uses the Ignite, almost gets a kill. But now the Gunblade is completed for Plugo. This is a big item spike for the Akali. Also stacking up a lot of magic resistance to try and deal with the burst. Clearly not enough just yet.
No, Murktread's going to need to be joined by another non-magic mantle. Slow again, hiding behind this section of the wall quite often. Fix actually running back down. He's moving onto item number 2. Slow is going to pull this as best he can and donate these creeps over to Fix. But again, not too much to play for with that Drake down already. Baron is up in a minute 25, but I don't think any team will be rushing to the area right about now. And still, first turret is up for grabs. So as far as pace of the game, this is certainly fitting Gambit much more.
Yep. And I'm starting to get a little concerned because with the draft that KLG had, you expected like a really explosive early game, lots of action, lots of fighting. And while we have seen a kill advantage go over to KLG, this isn't quite the lead that they wanted, as now they're forced to...
The gank is getting ganked and then re-ganked here. It's actually 4v3. Gamma rotate in. Rakombo finds Plugo. Tierwulf is going to get knocked around into the bounce house, and Lodik is able to take him down. He wants the kill. Good ult there from Lodik, and the cleanse. He does somehow live. Extremely well played.
And Gambit are able to get the turnaround. KLG were not expecting Lodik and Edward to be there. There's the Draven ulti. Not quite enough damage to secure the kill, though. Gambit will pick themselves up a couple kills. They'll secure the Rift Herald, and while they lose the bot tower, they'll be more than happy with how that went out.
And credit to Gambit. Duo saying, you know what, we're not really winning 2v2 anyway, so get us out of here and find us another lane to play. Yes, it does give that gold to Draven again.
Will they get this in time, though?
Oh, that's true. Oh, we're going to find out another day.
So Nate disengages from this point, and even though Tierwulf and Plugo show up, they think they can go for this, but then an immediate Rakan ulti onto 2 members from KLG mean that Nate can't get involved. As we said, he didn't have his ulti available anyway, and then Kira dives in to provide that extra bit of damage. Just really good awareness from Gambit to make that rotation up, and not enough respect from KLG to recognize that the bot lane was missing, and they may potentially show up for a can again.
Yeah, Plugo unfortunately didn't get the trade kill either. Well played by Akali to know that needs to get something out of the situation, but Lodik had all the answers there. He's also moving into item number 2 pretty swiftly. KLG again starting to use some of their tools to find some things. The problem is when you don't have turrets, real tough to really let anything get done because the space you have to make plays in is very small.
That is very true. Pastry time. The Rift Herald was in fact picked up by Diamondprox. He is now a level ahead of Tierwulf, even after dying twice.
Diamond onto the red buff. Drake up in a minute 35. We'll see if KLG maybe want to stack up some of those oceans. Plugo gets the blue. Again, all these things are looking just fine, but fixing slow. Really the point to play around. Edward and Lodik playing back. They'll bring Diamond once again here, but Tierwulf already waiting in the wings. Who is going to move first in the 3v3?
You can see Edward learning his lesson. He's like, oh, just quickly. Wait a minute. I've been here before. And avoids face checking the brush.
Too many All-Star games, I think.
Definitely true. Now, KLG, they still hold on to the gold lead for the time being, largely due to the tower that they picked up in the bot side of the map. And now they're grouping up as 3. The Akali making her way up there as well.
That's face check to Leblanc. There's the knock-up from Diamondprox, but Slow just going to go in. The aftershock proc. There's Edward again. Looks for the wraparound charm. Does get a few there, but the fight's still pretty messy. No one can really get a handle on the damage as Plugo able to sneak in there and maybe trying to assassinate Diamond, who flashes out away from FLICKR's ulti. Here's Xayah looking for the barrel combo. Made it look very pretty, but the flash from FLICKR will save him still. Predator pop by Diamond. He's going to run forward, but Nate will ward them off as he fills up the choke with a big axe. And despite all the action and the cooldowns, no one dead just yet.
Yeah, FLICKR, he was kind of left on an island to deal with like 3 members of Gambit, trying his best to survive. And one of the big damages, ooh, Gangplank.
Dunkaroonie, no flash. Tierwulf, oh no, has to be careful, knock off. Everyone, Diamond can maybe save him. Everyone wants to knock him, he found FLICKR, he's got no flash. Great slam, body slam from Diamond. And Rift Herald's rampaging in the mid lane.
And Gambit, they knew they had priority because the Rift Herald was in mid. KLG had no one there wave clearing it, and instead KLG chose to fight. They weren't in a cohesive unit. A lot of their ultis had been used. And FLICKR, he had no summoner spells. That meant the Gambit find themselves another pick onto one of the biggest damage dealers on that KLG squad. He also lost half his adoration stacks after dying. And KLG, after having a dominant early game, being unable to transition it into the mid game is where we're now starting to see Gambit really shine.
And it almost feels in part that like maybe there's some nerves here for KLG. It can be tough on bigger stages because again, they're so used to playing this way domestically, they're so dominant, they're so aggressive, but competition here is certainly tough and KLG kind of struggling to make their style work against the teams in this group.
They certainly are, and I just feel like they took their foot off the pedal a little bit. I wanted to see Tierwulf just ganking a little more, but he was definitely active in the early game, that's for sure. But very rarely did we see him transition that into the big early game snowballs that they wanted with this kind of a composition.
Drake will maybe go over here, but Diamondprox is going to make it theirs. Perhaps they're actually going to bait them in and try and find an engage. Plugo dives in and Xayah is low. They need to find the kill. Here comes Nate charging in with a Sion ulti. It's a trade already. Plugo actually dead to Xayah in the GPO, I believe. So Gambit still feeling confident. Diamondprox finds it all the way back, steals the Drake away. The fight's still going. Kira gets tagged by both ends of the ulti, but does not die to the whirling death.
And KLG, even though they had a numbers advantage, were not able to win out on the fight. Both Plugo and Tierwulf got melted faster than they were ready for. And to top it all off, Gambit steal away the Drake. Excellent stuff coming out from the Gambit squad as KLG fall further behind.
Continue pressure here, they'll take the red buff. Kira's pressuring with a pretty big wave onto the bottom outer turret as well. KLG starting to get kind of starved out of this mid game. So Gambit really picking things up now they've finished some of those items. Kira will be able to secure this turret, so that will even back up. And we talked about KLG looking good with pretty minimal gold lead. I think Gambit were good at even, and now they're starting to get ahead.
Exactly that. Gambit definitely know what to do in the mid to late game stages. That's where they found a lot of their wins during the regular season. So I think now that KLG weren't able to snowball fast enough, has basically allowed Gambit to reorganize their thoughts, find where they can punish KLG, and this is one of those situations where you can see 4 versus 4 initially, but the Sion is roaming down. Before he can get there, they end up getting chunked out. Stagers get super low, but then while all this is happening, the Akali and the Jarvan are just getting melted by the AoE from Kira, and by landing a good distortion into ulti combo, he just kind of obliterated this assassin frontline. And even with all the magic resistance that Plugo had chalked up, and unfortunately it wasn't enough, and they ended up going down.
Well, there's Nate again, KLG. Hopefully continue to look for engages. Fix plays aggressive, pops that W. But again, still waiting for a good moment. Kira though, a little too far forward. Shutdown for Plugo. Gets a big chunk of gold. Here's Nate rushing in, but Lodik ults out to safety.
So that's a good pick there from KLG in the side lane. We've talked a little bit about how Akali, once she moves off into a 1v1 situation, she actually has a lot of kill pressure, and it was convenient that Tierwulf was there to help secure the kill, because now Plugo can feel confident as he pushes up this wave towards the tower.
I feel like that's how KLG kind of want to be playing this part of the game. Still hanging out in mid. Oh, good combo there onto the Draven by Edward, and that's going to be a kill. He actually picks it up himself. Tierwulf also going to melt as the duo collect 2 kills. Going to make it 3, a slow down, and Xayah just parlays him straight in the back.
And there's no jungler available for KLG, which means Gambit can set their eyes on the Baron. Kira is about to respawn, but with Plugo, no ulti in his back pocket, I don't know if he can stop this.
Well, he's got flash. He's not on top of the ward. He's near his control ward. He might have to try something. Nate is just trying to get in and get aggressive, but Edward is going to just stop him off. Really not that much threat of stealing a Plugo. They're already going to dive in. Maybe he's going to look for the kills instead. It's kind of chaotic here in the pit. Edward is low. A massive decimate. They will get 1 kill, and Diamondprox, if they can kill him, that actually might be enough to save it all, but Lodik is going to chase Plugo out of the pit. Diamond is low, but he's still going to flash to safety. Alive, still for a little while longer. The Baron does die. Lodik able to put the last feather in, as Diamond does actually fall. And still they're going, but Gambit just need to get out now.
So Gambit secure the Baron. It wasn't clean, it wasn't easy, but they get ultimately what they want. KLG, with 2 members, did what they could, but unfortunately with no smite and without enough damage to find the kills, they could not stop the Baron. So this is Plugo seeing Kira use all of his dashes to just clear the minion wave, and then that made it very easy for Plugo to punish him. We then transitioned to that mid lane fight where Edward ended up using his ulti onto Fix, and then with a good Gragas combo, they're able to knock him into the damage dealer of Lodik, and they're able to very quickly melt through that unit. And finding 3 quick kills, along with Stejos grouping up with your team, means that you can then position for the Baron and secure it for your team.
And let's talk about Lodik this game, because he is massive at this point on the Xayah. 403, 3 items completed, including that Infinity Edge, and he had a miserable time in the 2v2 lane versus Draven Leona. And all of a sudden, kind of the young up-and-coming star carry player for Gambit that was one of the newest additions in a team of otherwise veteran League of Legends players. He is continuing to perform well on the international stage.
I completely agree with you. I think he has been very solid, but I think a lot of his success has come off the back of Diamond and Edward's setup in a lot of these fights. Yes, Edward, he face-checked the brush bot lane. We all remember it. However, his Rakan engages paired up with the Diamondprox ultimates have been fantastic, and I think that has just enabled Lodik to position freely, get off the reliable damage that he's often so well known for, and now that's why he sits at a 4-0-3 scoreline. But you got to give credit to the fact that Diamondprox has a 100% kill participation, and as we expect from Gambit, if they want to succeed and if they're making stuff happen, he is at the center of it.
He certainly is, and that has been very true this game. Xayah is starting to mow down turrets again with the help of this Baron buff. KLG can look for another play. Kira almost gets a solo kill there on the left side as Tierwulf is forced away from the fight. Gambit kiting back around slow. Doesn't quite connect that Zenith blade. And now Edward goes back in for it. A good route from Lodik started it off, but slow. Will fall down as Lodik is now unstoppable. Plugo in the trap trying to get a counter kill pick off. Fix there just with an ulti. That's all he can really add to the rest of this fight. And by the way, Xayah is busy cracking the base.
Gambit are just melting through KLG right now. Fix, he hasn't been able to impact the rest of this game outside of the laning phase, and while they're doing what they can, KLG, they need this win if they want to still stand a chance at the top 2 in this group. But Gambit are that close to securing it.
Yep, again, they can get themselves out of here if they're able to grab it. 2 inhibs down is a very good start. They've just turned this game around, as they often do, starting from that Baron. Gambit, though, will play it a little safer. They'll go back, they'll spend their gold. They might take the Drake on the way out if they feel like it. And then they'll assault the final defense here from KLG in that bottom lane.
And I will say that while KLG are in a pretty dire situation right now, I do feel that they have played much more towards their style. They've been much more aggressive in the early game. They drafted champions that were comfort picks for them, and they felt that they could get those early advantages on them. We saw a lot of those kills. We saw some outplays from Plugo. We saw Tierwulf having much more of an impact. We saw overall a great game from Nate as well. It's just they weren't able to quite transition that into a solid enough mid-game that they could slow Gambit down. And now they're at a situation where they have a very healthy gold lead, and they're going to have to find a miracle pick or some big team fight if they want to stand a chance of coming back into this game.
Well, see what they can do. They're just busy clearing as many minions as they can before the super minions start raining down into the lanes, but Gambit, as absolutely expected, are just rushing down this bottom side of the map, and look at that Baron power play.
Pretty significant. Just goes to show how good Gambit are when they are able to hold on to a pretty solid, even to slight advantage in the mid game. And Kira, considering he's been playing Leblanc, his impact in this game has been very minimal. 2-1-1, often sitting off on a side lane. And as you mentioned, Lodik has been the main damage dealer this game. Psejos has been a good side lane threat, but it's all been about Diamondprox and Edward combined, setting up a lot of these plays and enabling Lodik to pick up those kills.
As someone that's been watching League for a very long time, Vedius, that's music to my ears, and it should be to Gambit fans as well, that the two veterans, known for their consistent aggressive engages, are performing. That's what Gambit need as they moved in further to the tournament. They were not happy with the MSI exit early on this year. If they can secure this game, they'll get yet another chance at a best of 5. But now again, they're good. Frizzy in the play there. Edward again gonna just dive straight back in there. He charms up all the backline, and Lodik is just dipping away from all of the damage deal. He's trying to find the dunk. He wants the kill, but he will not be granted his wish. As Gambit kite around the tag. Plugo over the shutdown finds Xayah, KLG. They're gonna make Gambit work for it here as Edward, the next one to be knocked off. Diamondprox stood aside. But Kira still threatening, does a lot of damage, dives in with a distortion, gets fixed down to about 50% HP, but it's not quite enough to get that next kill, and still they chase. Kira finds the slow, but Edward can't follow up as a good stopwatch there from Plugo. He's going to put him into stasis and out to safety. Kira, his clone, is going to get aggressive. That's going to force Nate to flash away as he looks to re-distort in. And Gambit, they're going to keep on the warpath.
Well, that was a solid team fight for KLG. Unfortunately, the super minions were not on their side. They lose 2 of their Nexus turrets. They're likely going to lose their 3rd inhibitor. Gambit, I feel like they need to back away here as Tierwulf is respawning.
Yeah, it feels like 2 inhibs too late, unfortunately, for the side of Chaos Latin Gamers. Gambit, Baron back in a minute if they need it. They have a monumental lead as they'll go back and just kind of watch the super minions finish off the hard work.
So Gambit overall end up coming out ahead in that fight because they trade 1 for 1 and get so many objectives off the map away from KLG. And with the Baron spawning in about 45 seconds, that'll kind of be the last-ditch effort for KLG. If they can find another similar fight around that objective, maybe they can come back into the game. But inhibitors are still a minute out. Those super minions will still be walking their way into the base of KLG while Gambit are able to start off this Baron.
Yeah, really no recourse for some sort of Baron steal here. And they're actually even going to lose more of the jungle as the blue buff will be gifted over. Xayah's able to finish that off, actually donates it to Kira instead. And I think that Goldgraph tells a pretty good story. KLG, they were climbing up, they were building a small lead, but as soon as it started falling down, it just rolled down the hill in the wrong direction.
Yes, it certainly did. That 30-minute mark, especially with the Baron buff picked up, was a big part. And now Gambit just claiming control over the top side of KLG's jungle, getting all that deep vision in so they can look for picks, or maybe set up for the Baron. Here comes KLG though for that last final
Nate
fight.
flying in there as Kira, dedicated to that controller, did manage to kill it. Now working on another one as Plugo might fancy an assassination on the other side. Kira already chunked back down as Edward moving forward to try and defend. Now again, going to look for the bounce. A big bit of damage as the root from the Xayah. Wiz get on top of the first of the fight, and Fix, he's so late to this exchange as Lodik is cutting out of the way, but still actually the damage is there. Fix might be able to fight his way out of there, but he's taking too much. Lodik grabbing so many shutdowns, and Kira, he just went straight for the base.
Gambit doing what they can to end the game right now. Diamondprox just buying time for Kira to end it.
It was all a ruse. Kira, he said he's been off in the sidelines. He found his way in the Nexus, and he's going to slowly but surely auto it down and push Gambit onto the next stage of Worlds.
It looked like such a good fight for KLG. I thought if they win this, they can convert it into a Baron, but I did not realize that Kira had made his way behind enemy lines and was able to backdoor the base.
Very tricky indeed on the LeBlanc. KLG, a valiant effort there. But it did feel like some of those team fights came a little too late. Gambit starting to pick up a little bit of steam. And I think that for me, the biggest thing is what you mentioned, Vedius, that the two experienced players, the two big playmakers are starting to feel like they're warming up a lot more in this tournament.
Commiserations, of course, to KLG. I was happy to see a much stronger performance from them this day compared to day one. But Gambit, they got to the 30-minute mark, they played towards their strengths, they played the team fights better, and they were able to secure a win along with second spot in the group stage. Now, even if KLG are able to upset G-Rex, unfortunately it won't be enough for Gambit to be able to close the gap because they've now played all of their games in the playing stage, so they will be locked in that second spot, and KLG will be, G-Rex, sorry, will be locked in first.
I mean, you know, it turned out to be a very tough group, actually. I mean, G-Rex, people like Gambit on top of them, and then going into that game, it was actually impossible for them to get first, but at least picking up a victory here does secure it. As we are going to have a look here at these group sittings. As you can see, as you mentioned already, Vedic, T-Rex, and Gambit will now move through from Group D.
Yep, and later on in the day, we will be watching the rest of Group C. Cloud9 currently sitting at 2-0, going up against both Detonation Focus Me and Kaboom. And with Kaboom's big win against Detonation Focus Me, this group is still up for grabs. So definitely a lot to watch out for in the second half of today.
Certainly is, but again, from our last game, we do have to give Diamondprox honors, not just in how he played the game, but first, we are going to name Diamondprox Gambit's MasterCard player of the game. He said 100% KP. I'm pretty sure it stayed that the whole game.
Yep, 100% kill participation. He was very active in the later stages of the game. He kind of got shut down by Tierwulf and the gang, dying a lot very early on, but his impact in teamfights was very well known, landing a lot of good caskets, working very well with his support as well. So props to Diamondprox. I was very impressed with how he played, and hopefully he can maintain that moving on to the best of fives. There's a lot of tough competition. He won't be going up against G-Rex, but looking at how things are currently playing out, if we took the standings the way they were, it could look like a Supermassive, it could be a C9, or it could be an Edward Gaming. All very difficult opponents.
Yep, certainly the first seeds are looking incredibly strong, so Gambit will have their work cut out for them, but they can at least kind of rest their head and say, you know what, we're going to move in towards and start prepping for the best of five and our potential opponents.
Exactly that. And as we mentioned, KLG are eliminated from the play-in stages. They still have one game left to play against G-Rex, and you would imagine that they will look to try and end their tournament on a high. We saw some pretty positive stuff in their early game this time around. Maybe they just go even harder in terms of the early game, and we actually get to see that level 2 gang.
I hope so, because if there's something to do, you know, when you kind of have one game left, you can unfortunately no longer advance the tournament. Taking down the guys that smashed everyone in your group's a pretty good statement.
That would certainly be true, and we've still got awesome League of Legends for the second half of the day. No tiebreakers as of yet, but the way in which Kaboom and Detonation are going, we're definitely we're on track for one potential tiebreaker later on in the day. But we shall see as Group C is about to conclude in a bit.
Certainly is, but as later on, Edward will share his thoughts on the upcoming knockout stage. But for now, we're going to step away. When we return, the NALCS third seed Cloud9 look to keep their undefeated streak against Kaboom.